From mysterious UFO sightings at Yosemite National Park to the strange phenomena that tends to happen at the Grand Canyon, here are the mysteries of the national parks. But first, quick shout out goes to Grom for leaving us this comment on one of our recent mysteries videos. Thanks for leaving us your insight and your theory on the Roanoke colony. Let us know which of these mysteries you find the most intriguing, and maybe we'll feature you in an upcoming video. Number 12. Yellowstone Supervolcano. On our own American soil lies a supervolcano capable of bringing upon the apocalypse with ease. Yellowstone was America's first national park, but there's a ticking time bomb that lies beneath the soil that could go off at any moment. This supervolcano typically goes off on average every 600,000 years. It's been 640,000 years since its last eruption. A giant lake of lava the size of Mount Everest sits under Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho, just waiting to see the light of day. The caldera of this volcano is about the size of Los Angeles. This could potentially wipe out the entire western United States, leaving us with about 30 states instead of 50. Imagine the Mount St. Helens explosion, but only 10 times larger. This would also then trigger other seismic events, causing earthquakes and volcanic eruptions around the world. The entire Earth would be consumed with toxic ash and gases. Temperatures plunge, agriculture ultimately fails, bringing on an apocalypse. The biggest mystery about this is not if it's going to happen, but when, and will you be prepared when it does? Number 11. Mammoth Cave Systems. One of the more mysterious national parks that you might not be aware of is Mammoth Caves National Park, located in the state of Kentucky. This is considered to be the longest cave system in the known world, and it runs at least twice as long as the second longest cave system in the world. It consists of 400 miles of surveyed passageways, and it's difficult to completely figure out all its secrets. Consisting of limestone, many have referred to it as a bottomless pit, and you can tell by looking at some of the rock formations that you'd likely get a little bit creeped out if you stayed here for too long. The true mystery, though, is the unexplored portions which are believed to exist, but haven't been explored just yet. And since people have lived here before, could they uncover more native artifacts, possibly from unknown civilizations? Who knows? Number 10. Yosemite. This massive granite dome is found on the eastern end of Yosemite and looks like some giant just chopped a mountain in half and is actually appropriately named the Half Dome. Not only are there geological mysteries here, but also some intrigue as to why so many accidents have taken place while hiking up the Half Dome. There have been many daring attempts to conquer the peak of the Half Dome since 1875, which rises 4,737 feet above the valley floor. It's a little bit easier now with the installation of cable routes, but still a challenge nonetheless. The peak is known to attract lightning strikes, so hikers need to be aware of the weather conditions before climbing up this strange geological formation. Yosemite has also been a hotspot for UFOs, and some have claimed to have seen experimental aircraft flying in and around the park. In 2010, a family reported seeing a triangular UFO crash in the forest. What's also interesting about Yosemite is that it's situated between two large secretive Air Force bases. Beale Air Force Base has been known to carry some nuclear weapons and is not located too far away. To the south, there's also China Lake, who's known for testing out some experimental aircraft. On the other side of the mountain to the east is the Nevada desert, which is known for some pretty mysterious stuff. Number 9. Bigfoot. If you venture off too far from home and into the woods, you may be in for a big surprise. He's been spotted all over the US and other places, but especially in our national parks. You're also probably familiar with the skunk ape that was spotted by various inhabitants living along the edge of the Everglades, where apes could be flourishing. This photo here apparently has not been officially debunked, and people still firmly believe that this mythical creature lurks in the redwood forest. Few have tried to reattempt the movements found in the video, and ones who filmed it have denied it being a hoax up until their last days. Could it possibly be a gigantic prehistoric primate, or just someone in a Bigfoot costume? Number 8. Bohemian Grove. Sometimes the most prominent men in the world also like to join cults, and whatever goes on inside Bohemian Grove, located at the Redwood National Forest State Park, is certainly a mystery of our national parks. This is a male-only 2,700-acre retreat for high-ranking government officials, business leaders, big executives, and unbelievable things are said to happen here. By the 1920s, the Bohemian Grove became more cult-like after originally opening up as a miners' and artists' retreat. Other dark things are said to happen here, such as a mock sacrifice to the Canaanite god of sacrifice known as Moloch. Number 7. Angel's Landing. Found at Zion National Park in Utah, this well-known hiking location just doesn't look unusual, it's also quite dangerous to those who aren't taking the hike too seriously. This formation juts out from the ground 1,488 feet and provides spectacular views of the valley below. The trail to the top has been known to be extremely strenuous, and there's no mattress at the bottom in case you fall. There's been recorded 5 fatalities recorded by park officials, and there's certainly a chain to help you get to the top, but that doesn't always help. The layers of rock date back to 270 million years ago, back when dinosaurs were roaming the earth. Number 6. Apocalypse bunkers. Could the national parks actually be land reserved for the global elite once the apocalypse is finally here? Could the true existence of national parks actually be to keep off the rest of the population from the most beautiful land in the United States so they can build stuff once their population control efforts are in full effect? We've noticed already how many of the national parks are surrounded by military bases, and the further you look into it, you'll realize how little land the people actually possess. In most national parks, you're allowed to stay for roughly 14 days until a ranger will kick your butt out. The rules at national parks as well can be overbearing, and some of them would make you believe that they got plans for something that they don't want you to know about. Some of these include no exploring caves, no metal detectors, no gold prospecting, no flying drones, and so on. Could there be some hidden things at these parks that they don't want you to know about? There are quite a few theories out there that suggest that the global elite have been constructing super bunkers like this one in Yellowstone. Number 5. Underground City of Death Valley. Is it possible that somewhere hidden beneath the hottest desert in the world lies an ancient underground history? Some people seem to think so. The Paiute Indians have described legends of an underground world that not a lot of people have heard of. There could have been a race of people called the Shinoav. While it seems to be just a mythical story told by the Paiutes, it would make sense that some people would tunnel underground in this harsh climate. No one has found the city just yet, and it still remains a mystery. Number 4. Sailing stones. If you've been to California's Death Valley, you'll notice sailing stones who seem to move by themselves and leave trails behind. You might have thought that someone was crazy and decided to move rocks across the desert, but this isn't the case. The strange thing about this phenomenon is that no one has ever really witnessed the rocks actually moving. The movements are also very random and may have abrupt patterns. It's believed that the wind causes this, but Death Valley isn't really that windy. Number 3. Mount Shasta. Located in Modoc National Forest, this is actually a sacred location for the Klamath tribe. Mount Shasta rises over 13,000 feet in the sky and is the state's 5th tallest mountain. This impressive stratovolcano has erupted once every 800 years on average, and this might be an explanation behind their folklore. This place is almost like a Native American Mount Olympus, and they discuss gods who lived at the top of this mountain. One of the beings descended and became the chief of the tribe. Another god who lived up there would battle with the god of the underworld by throwing hot lava rocks at each other. Many are drawn by the enigmatic mountain and even believe that there's some kind of lost civilization hidden away in the caves. Many have experienced some bizarre supernatural encounters while hiking here as well. Number 2. The Grand Canyon. This location is often on travelers' to-do lists while visiting the southwest United States. Many tourists, however, might not know right away that these remarkably beautiful canyons are sacred to Native American tribes. But could there have been an advanced civilization of people in this canyon, settling in underground tunnels? In the surrounding area, tribes like the Navajo, Havasupai, Hopi, and Paiute tribes have all settled in this area. Many tribes have deeply embedded history in the Grand Canyon, and there are several Indian reservations here. In modern times, people can actually stay at the Grand Canyon Cavern Suite, which allows for visitors to sleep in style about 220 feet below the ground. Many have reported supernatural activity and phenomena going on here. There was also once a story about archaeologists discovering Egyptian-like artifacts with hieroglyphics within a cave system in 1909 by the Arizona Gazette. They later on admitted that it was just an April Fool's joke, but others feel as though the Smithsonian forced them to say that they were making it all up. And number 1. Jackson Hole land grabbing. The whole concept of national parks might seem totally reasonable. Let's conserve the most scenic land for the people to enjoy for centuries to come. Then you realize the Rockefellers, a family often associated with world domination, had a pretty big stake in some national parks, and you start to wonder the true motives. A secret plan was concocted by John Rockefeller Jr. to basically acquire thousands of acres of beautiful land and simply hand it over to the federal government in the 1920s. They formed a company known as the Snake River Land Company to buy out everyone who lived in the Snake River area of Wyoming. Privately owned land was carefully mapped out, and roughly 33,000 acres became theirs for a sum of $1.5 million at that time. This led to kicking out many Wyoming ranchers, hunters, and lumberjacks who made a living off the land. Some felt as though the government was having too much of a role about saying where people could live. It's almost like saying that this land is too good for the common folks like yourselves to settle down at.